Ladies, puberty, PMT, pregnancy, the menopause. Yes, your hormones have been taking you for a ride for years. Hot flushes on the bus, menopausal meltdowns in the office. Whatever those hormones have made you do, Jenny Smith and Kate Bouse are here to lend a sympathetic ear. Why not write in and share your hormonal hell with the girls? Don't worry, they've heard it all before. It's time to put those hormones in the firing line. This is Dear Hormones. Welcome to your safe space, ladies. Coming up on today's show, do dogs hold the answer for a good night's sleep? A sense of humour failure at a craft market? And why a baby clinic, the menopause, and jet lag do not mix.
Hello again. Hi, Kate.
Hello, Jenny.
Thank you all for listening again. If you didn't hear last week's show, this podcast is all about us ladies sharing our hormonal and menopausal stories with each other. The main reason for me doing this is because I am currently going through the menopause and turned into a complete nightmare about 2 years ago. Started HRT, feel much better now, and thought this podcast could actually help educate other women and also help women who are also going through it, who have also done some crazy things, to feel better about themselves.
And I'm here being educated because I've not been through this yet, but I'm finding out a lot, and I very much enjoyed last week as well. So I'm looking forward to hearing some more letters.
We've had some good ones in this week, actually, Kate. We did this last week as well. I think I should maybe start off with one of my own. Again, I do feel a bit bad about this because most of my letters will be about my son, which make me sound terrible. But yes, our first letter is one of mine again, just to show you all that I am also willing to share. And one day, you never know, Kate might be sharing one of hers. You never know.
There's a high chance. And you did say,
might.
you say you feel bad about this towards your son, but you did tell us last week, Jenny, that your son actually had entirely forgotten about the episode that or it certainly wasn't a big thing inside his head. The chicken wings episode that you told us about last week.
I know, that was such a huge moment.
Don't feel too bad.
Yeah, I know. I do feel better. Actually, after he said that to me, I feel better about sharing this one, actually, because I don't think he'll remember this one at all. Okay, letter one. This is called Drums. And this is one of mine. I am a horrible person.
No, you're not. Can I just say that right now? No, you're not. You are not.
That's how
Look
I felt
in the mirror and tell yourself, I am a wonderful person, because you are.
Oh, Kate, I need to carry you around me at all times, like little pocket Kate. Okay, my son had just started secondary school. Sound familiar? This was all going on around the time that he started secondary school. Same thing with the chicken wings story
in that same position right now.
Last week. A huge transition in anyone's book, and had asked if he could learn the drums. I couldn't have been more delighted. Visions of him starting his own band, groups of friends filling the house, lyrics being written, the next Coldplay in the making, filled my head, and I signed him up for lessons straight away. There's a lot to take in when you move from primary to secondary, and one of those things is knowing your timetable and turning up to lessons on time, including your music lesson. You need to remember you have the music lesson in the first place. Know when to tell your teacher that you need to leave the classroom. Find the music room, find your way back. All of this at the age of 11, when finding your own shoes is still a daily challenge. All daunting things when you're trying to get your head around a brand new school. I know this, I've been there. And yet, when my son started secondary school, I was losing my mind. I didn't realise it at the time, but I was perimenopausal and losing my shit on a minute-by-minute basis. I set up a reminder in my phone, and for the first 2 weeks I reminded him before he left for school that day that he had his drumming lesson. But on the third week, I forgot. When he came home from school, I remember going through the standard questions. What did you have for lunch? Who did you hang out with?
You had to ask that question. You always ask about the lunch.
Yeah. Just hope he doesn't say chicken wings again. Which teachers do you like, etc., etc. And then, like a hammer blow, I remembered that today was the day he should have had his drumming lesson. And I knew I hadn't reminded him. And I just knew that he wouldn't have gone. I knew it. And then, like the prized bitch that I was back then.
Oh,
I asked him how his lesson had gone.
you are mean.
Ha ha, get out of this one, said the cow living inside my head. I feel awful, Kate, but this really is how it played out in my mind. His face fell. He muttered that he had forgotten and looked totally and utterly crestfallen.
Oh, no.
The kind of face that any mum would crumble at. The face that makes you scoop up your child, hug them close and tell them it doesn't matter one bit. It's early days. Of course he's going to forget brand new things like this and work out a strategy together where he can try and remember next week. Not me. I was fuming. I was livid. I was outraged. I looked at my son, eyes brimming with disappointment. I sat him down, I really did sit him down, Kate. Took him into the piano room, actually, the music room, just to rub salt
you
into the
even took him
rooms.
into a music room to have
I
this
sat
chat.
him down, took a deep breath, and told him that he had to start taking responsibility. He's 11 years old, for Christ's sake. and does he realise how much these drumming lessons are costing? And do you know what? You can bloody well pay me back for this lesson out of your own money.
Oh, no.
Yes, Mum, said my son, clearly scared and wanting it to end. Of course I will. I'm so sorry, Mum. It won't happen again. But the perimenopausal witch living inside my head couldn't hear these desperate pleas. All I could hear was the voice, the one who hates everyone, the one who takes a word called perspective, tears it into little pieces and burns it in front of her crying child.
You are being too hard on yourself. You are.
Half an hour later, and a new emotion took over, one of utter shame and despair. I couldn't hug him enough. I told him how sorry I was, and that of course he didn't need to pay me back, that it's understandable to forget things at this age. And I remember watching the poor little mite heading off to his room, utterly baffled and bemused, wondering how long he could leave it before asking if he could actually stop taking drumming lessons altogether.
You put him off forever.
And he doesn't do the lessons anymore, Kate.
Does he not?
No.
Oh, no.
But he did do them all. He did do them all that year. He did do them all that year, but then eventually,
Your
then
visions
lockdown
of
happened, didn't it? Pretty much.
Coldplay.
Oh, I know. Oh,
Not to be.
Kate. Yeah, no, is that? I'm afraid not. But he does play the piano, and Chris Martin plays the piano. So I've still got those dreams, Kate. I'm clinging on.
Hold on to them. Don't get credit.
Yeah.
Does he have his piano lessons at school?
No, he doesn't. He has them at home.
Now there's a relief.
So he never forgets that one.
Jenny, thank you for sharing that story. I feel I'm a bit inside your head there. Like when you had the realization that it had been the day of the lesson, and you were probably a little bit cross with yourself, were you, that you'd forgotten to remind him. So you just like, rather than, admit and let yourself get cross with yourself, instead you decided to get cross with him instead. And you project.
Well, I think at the time I wasn't even cross with myself, because I don't think I could have allowed myself to be cross. I was so hormonal that it wouldn't have occurred to me to blame myself. It had to be somebody else's fault. Yeah.
Really?
And I remember that moment where I had my stomach turned over when I realised it's Monday. He's supposed to have had his drumming lesson. And then I thought, I haven't reminded him. And then I thought, I bet he hasn't gone. I immediately turned that into, I bet my son, my 11-year-old son, who is literally trying his very best, I bet he didn't turn up to his lesson. And then I really did catch him out with that. Oh, how does your drumming
Brought him out. Got you.
Yeah, it's like that was the rage sort again took over, and I didn't let it go, Kate. Sitting him down, talking him through it all. It went on for quite a long time, poor kid. And he did actually just trot off back to his room. I mean, he just looked like, I don't understand this. One minute she's horrible to me, the next minute she's crying and hugging me and telling me that I'm the best thing ever. It's so confusing. I'm just hoping that the last bits that I say to him are the bits that stick, like I'm really sorry, it won't happen again, I'm getting better.
They will be, and they are, based on what he said about he's the chicken wings. It's all hasn't been a thing for him. I'm sure the same is the case with the drums episode.
Yeah.
I wondered, did drums or did chicken wings? Which came first, the chicken or the drums? The chicken or the egg? The chicken or the drums?
Drums came first, and drums was before I had started taking the HRT. And then chicken wings came a few weeks after that when I just started taking the HRT. I think it was a build up. All these stories were building up to the point where I then found that podcast and got myself sorted out.
A roller coaster ride for you all in your household.
I know.
I have had, my son has piano lessons at school, and he has forgotten his piano lesson on several occasions.
Has he?
And I have been quite cross with him, I have to say. And we've had not quite the same conversation, but there has been a little bit of, you're not going to have piano lessons anymore if you forget another one. And he's in year 7, you know, he's recently started secondary school. He's very forgetful, but then I'm forgetful as well. And this is the problem. He's just had we've just been in lockdown, of course. And so he's been having Zoom piano lessons. And we have forgotten several times, to the point that the piano teacher said to me a few weeks ago, it's actually quite an achievement. You managed to forget as often as you have. This poor piano teacher,
slightly passive aggressive.
He would text me, you know, like 2 minutes into the lesson saying, and then I'll sort of pick it up a few minutes later and I was like, ah!
It's interesting that you also feel cross about that, but I think a lot of these stories that we'll talk about, especially mine, they are things that would have wound me up anyway at the best of times, because I think our kids can do that, can't they? Was this a one-off though, your son and the drums, or had this happened more than that
once?
was the first time he'd forgotten. It was only the first.
And
time.
did he ever forget? Did he ever dare to forget again?
No, I don't think he did. But that's because I felt so bad about it that I got this huge piece of paper and I wrote on the fridge like a timetable for the week of all the things he had to remember, really, so that I could remember to remind him. And so every time he was having breakfast, I was like, oh, it's Monday, he's got his drums, and I remembered to remind him. That's why it didn't happen again, because I felt so guilty. I thought, I can't let this happen again. Oh. Okay, Kate, you've got another letter for us, haven't you?
So this letter here has been sent in to us by Maddie, and she says, I am writing to tell you about not one but 2 embarrassing experiences. The first happened on a chilly autumn morning when I was going to work on the tube. I bumped into a friend of a friend whom I'd only met a couple of times before. So someone that she doesn't know very well. Let's picture the scene.
Yeah, okay.
Chatting away, sitting together, I suddenly felt super hot.
Oh, no.
And I could feel the sweat building on my face. I took out a tissue to mop myself. A whole packet of very soggy tissues later.
Oh no!
Poor Maddie. I was stripped down to only my t-shirt and my jeans, and I still simply could not cool down. Sweat was literally pouring off me. Everyone else was in coats, scarves, some were even in hats. It was totally obvious to me and probably everybody else that I was having a massive hot flush. I still kept trying to continue the conversation with somebody that I hardly knew at all.
Oh no, that's the worst thing about this story, the fact that she doesn't
didn't even know this person.
Then, so you don't even feel able to say to them, I'm sorry, I'm having a hot flush. You just got to ride it out and just pretend, hope they don't notice.
While apologising the whole time for my dripping face. Oh, poor Maddie.
Dripping face.
Dripping face.
I'm sorry. Oh. Visions of my Auntie Joy last week with her. What was the phrase that she used? Like a damp used tea bag.
A damp used tea bag. And you had a phrase as well, didn't you? A swamp, was it? That you said,
a
Jenny?
Swamp. My grandma used to call them a swamp. Yeah.
It sounds as though Maddie was having a swamp, a very public swamp.
Yeah, very
You're not alone, Maddie.
Oh, Maddie.
Another event took place a few years ago during the May half-term holiday while walking along a beach in the south of France. I had my periods and I had been suffering from really heavy periods for about 6 months, fully into the perimenopause.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
that's a thing, yeah.
I had made sure to go to the toilets, and we're going to get some details here, I'm afraid, and I had a fresh supersized tampon plus a pad in place. But less than an hour later, oh, Maddie, poor Maddie, I could feel that even those were not enough to stem what felt like a full-on flood down below.
Oh no. Oh, God.
Dear.
Oh, Maddie.
Spotting a hut that looked like a potential loo, I sped off down the beach, only to get there and find that it was completely locked up. Panic gripped me.
What would you do?
I can imagine. What would you do? What do you do? The adjacent beach bar was also shut, probably only open in the summer months. I couldn't see anywhere else within a 10-minute walk, and I knew that I couldn't make it that far. In the end, there was nothing else for it but to hide behind the toilets. Luckily, there were trees and a sandy slope, and to change there.
Oh,
Yuck.
no. Oh, Maddie.
I am not too sure if you will find the last story too disgusting for broadcast. Oh, poor Maddie, to feel that.
We need these stories. I think we've all had similar experiences.
What would you do? There was nothing else you could do, Maddie. But I have been on walks with friends, also mid-perimenopause, and they have had to turn home after just 10 or 15 minutes for exactly the same reason. It is quite unbelievable how much blood can come out in such a short amount of time. I am lucky to be able to talk to my friends about these things. And speaking of my friends, when I told one of them that I was writing to you, she mentioned a top tip of hers.
Oh.
While suffering nighttime hot flushes, she slept for 6 months on a dog cool gel mat.
What? What's a dog?
A dog cool gel mat. I think we're going to have to look that up, Jenny.
Something that dogs use.
I'm guessing. I don't know. I have to look it up. A dog cool gel mat.
mat.
She slept on a dog mat.
What, this sounds
basically. Cool her down. Maddie's friend. She claims it is the must-have accessory for any menopausal woman, and that it really was a lifesaver, especially when her partner was after a nighttime cuddle. Oh, how nice that her partner have nighttime cuddles with her partner on the dog cool gel mat.
Well, ladies, if any ladies are listening and are struggling with getting to sleep at night because of the hot flushes, there you go. Top tip.
Thank you for sharing. And you're not alone. I love it that you've shared in two situations that were embarrassing for you, and the fact that you thought that the second one was going to be too disgusting for us to broadcast.
I know. That's not too much at all. I remember a friend of mine that came round who was also going through the menopause, and she had an accident while sitting on my sofa. So she felt terrible about it. But I think everyone's got some sort of story like that. In fact, let's go back to, I don't know about you, Kate, because obviously you haven't experienced much at all. But if I go back to, which lucky you, I'm really pleased for you.
You sound pleased, Jenny. I'm really pleased for you.
If we go back to the 1980s when I was at secondary school, I remember permanently having my jumper tied around my waist in case of heavy periods, in case I had stains on my skirts, which did happen and did happen to my friends. So, Maddie, this has been happening for years for quite a lot of people as well. So thanks so much for sharing it. I think you might have made a lot of people feel
absolutely
a lot better.
Have your hormones been getting the better of you? Why not drop us a line and tell us all about it? Email dearhormones@yahoo.com or find us on Instagram @dearhormones.
So I've got another letter here, and this letter is called Craft Market, and it's from Tanya, and she lives in Kettering. Dear Jenny and Kate, I remember at the peak of my perimenopausal phase going to a craft fair with my mum and stopping to look at a selection of gift cards. One really caught my eye. It was a funny card, the content of which I obviously can't remember now, being menopausal, but trust me, it was really funny. I remember showing it to my mum, but she didn't get it. In fact, she asked so many questions about it that it drained all the humour out of the moment in an instant. There's nothing particularly surprising here. We all have times where we have to explain things to our parents. But I can't even begin to describe to you the level of anger I felt when she didn't understand it.
Oh,
So livid was I that I sarcastically explained to her why it was funny in a voice you'd usually say for a toddler. She's in her 70s. Before literally storming off. I remember having to shuffle back to her a few minutes later, tears in my eyes, and explained that I was feeling a tad hormonal that day. She just looked back at me with a face that said, I've seen it all before, and offered to buy me a cup of tea.
Oh, lovely mummy. I want to know more. Had her mum been through the same thing then? It sounds from that as though she had.
I guess so. Or maybe when she says, I've seen it all before, maybe she's just seen her daughter blow up that.
Oh dear.
Maybe the mum was like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Oh my goodness, I've had that. In fact, funnily enough, I was looking through my phone because 2 years ago, when I was going through the worst of it, I started jotting a few things down. So I was trying to see if there was a correlation between my periods and when I was feeling funny and everything. And I found a note on my phone, and it just says, fuming. Remote control. And that was an episode when I was at my mum's house and she couldn't operate the remote control. absolutely like enraged with her not. I think she'd just got a new Sky remote control, and it was a bit different. And you could like do a voice thing, like speak into it and get it to do it. And she, like most of us, couldn't do it immediately. And I was
cross with
also
her.
livid. I was also livid with her.
Goodness.
So I can totally relate to that story there.
Jenny, did you jotted down lots of the different experiences that happened to you so that you could understand better what it was that was happening to you?
I just had a little phase where I was confused by things. So I just thought, oh, is this connected somehow to my period? Not realising at the time it was going to be the perimenopause. I just thought, oh, is this something weird going on in my period? So I did just every now and then I find these notes on my phone of these random things like remote control, rage. And
I quite like you to share some of those with us sometimes.
maybe
just to read out a few days.
Yeah, and then the odd symptom here or there, or headache, day 10. Stuff like that, just to see if I could see some sort of correlation.
So this next letter is sent to us by Eileen, who lives in North London, and her story is entitled Mother, Daughter, Granddaughter, a story of hormones. So we've got the 3 generations here.
Brilliant.
And this is quite a long letter, Jenny.
Okay.
But it looks exciting. Here we go.
Maybe I should get myself a cup of tea and
maybe you should settle in. Yeah. It all started innocently enough, as these things do. I'd envisioned taking my mother to her granddaughter's very first baby clinic after her birth in May 2007. I was a first-time mother in a new country, grappling with life with a 7-pound, 1-ounce bundle of demands that I was completely unprepared for. Before giving birth, I never really spent time around babies. This was purposeful. I preferred the company of friends, travelling, focusing on higher education and exciting new jobs like working at an art gallery in San Francisco. Oh, Eileen, you do have an exciting life.
I like this.
But then, after marrying a lovely Englishman and moving to London, the timing seemed right to start a family. I'm sensing Eileen's quite a writer. This is lovely. I was fortunate with my pregnancy. I felt generally well, no difficulties, and the severe migraines that I'd suffered for years stopped completely. The doctor explained that the pregnancy hormones most likely suited my body, and hence the migraines had disappeared. And he even went on to comment that maybe I should have a lot of children if I wanted to be migraine-free.
Oh!
Lots of children, there's a solution. I am from hardy Celtic stock, and I recalled how a great aunt of mine had 14 children. Yes, 14! Was she just trying to escape the crushing pain of chronic migraines? Maybe that was it.
Before that pregnancy can stop. This is great. Okay.
Anyone suffering from migraines, this is the solution.
Yeah, exactly.
14 kids. I was not going to follow that model. Eileen's not following that model. Just a few weeks after my daughter was born, my parents flew to London from California to kindly help out. My mother, having grown up in a big Midwestern family, and of course raising her own children, is not at all intimidated by babies, and in fact she adores them. Perfect. Before being released from the hospital, the midwives had told me that I needed to take the baby to baby clinic, where she could be weighed and I could ask advice and meet other mothers. They made it all sound lovely. I envisaged a big, bright room filled with flowers and toys, new mothers peaceful. You can imagine. It's not going to go this way, is it? It's not going to go this way.
Oh, having been in one of those rooms. Yeah, okay.
New mothers peacefully sipping tea and commiserating on the joys of motherhood. I must go to baby clinic, I thought. What a wonderful place to bring my mother as soon as she lands from San Francisco.
As soon as she lands.
As soon as she lands. We're going to go.
That's what she sat on that plane for. All those hours.
Oh. The morning of the appointment at baby clinic, both my mother and I were utterly exhausted. For the previous 3 weeks, I had been struggling to get my daughter to latch correctly for breastfeeding. She was struggling to feed, often inconsolable, and she woke every hour during the night. My nipples were a scabbed, bloody mess, and I had entered into a parallel dimension of anxiety and sleeplessness. I spent my waking hours obsessively calculating how many ounces of milk the baby was getting. Was she underweight? Was she dehydrated? It was all I thought about. And my mother, who was not only jet-lagged, informed me that she had just come off hormone replacement therapy. After being... What a combination!
I can't stop laughing.
Have you been to baby clinic, Jenny?
I love This is building up to be probably my favourite letter that we've ever read. I mean, all the ingredients are there. We've got
What a combo.
a new exhausted mum, the migraine hormone story, tying in the mum that is jet lagged, and now the mum who's also not just jet lagged, but she's just stopped her HRT. Okay. Oh, carry on.
My mother, who was not only jet lagged, informed me that she'd just come off hormone replacement therapy after being on it for decades. So it's going to be like classical, isn't it?
Oh my God. Oh God, this is great. Okay.
A gynecologist wanted her to try going without taking I might be saying this wrong, Premarin. I'm not sure how you say it. That, by the way, is made. It's made from female equine urine. Goodness.
Oh my God, we're learning so much.
HRT is made of.
We did
a lot
say
of information.
that we said this wasn't going to be a medical, we're not medical experts, but here we are educating away, aren't we?
Thanks
With
to Eileen. The cool gel dog mats.
Which is quite a medical term, even though it's not a medical thing. And now
equine urine.
Yeah, equine urine. It's very kind of animal-based podcast. Okay.
Her gynecologist wanted her to stop taking the female equine urine just to see what happened. What's going to happen?
Let's see what happens. Tell you what, why don't you go and experiment whilst you're visiting your daughter and your new grandchild? What a perfect combination.
Not now, I thought. One of us has to. This is not the time, Mum.
Not now.
One of us.
Can Eileen write to us every week?
Eileen, we want to hear more. Not now, I thought. One of us has to be strong. But my poor mother was suffering hot flushes every 15 minutes. She was having terrible joint pain and she couldn't sleep.
Yeah,
we were quite
been there.
You've been there. We were quite the pair. We bundled up my daughter in her buggy and we hurried out of the door to get to baby clinic. Everything's going to be fine when they get to baby clinic.
It's like this magical place where Care Bears live.
Having completely underestimated how long the walk would be and running late, we had to near jog up the hill to be on time. I was barely recovered from the birth. I was worried that my stitches were going to burst.
Stop it. Oh, Kate, I'm actually crying. I mean, not that I want her stitches to burst. This is how she's written it.
And I was just hoping that I'd remember to put breast pads in before leaving the house. Oh, that just brings me right back.
Oh my God, this is so funny. Okay.
We finally approached a grey, blocky municipal building with the address. Jenny!
I can't stop. Sorry.
This can't be baby clinic.
This can't be baby clinic.
No.
What's
not
this
baby
place?
clinic.
What's this place?
I don't know. Hang on.
It can't
the address that they were looking for was displayed by the door.
What? Surely a mistake, Kate.
This be the esteemed baby clinic. There was no signage. There was just a middle-aged man sitting at a makeshift desk, smoking a cigarette.
Kate, I'm actually having a hot flush. I actually am. From laughing so much. Oh my God, I'm sweating. Okay. Yeah, okay.
I think this is a whole episode right here, actually,
I think
Jenny.
it is.
Completely out of breath from pushing the pram. I tentatively asked if this was where baby clinic was. Yes. It's here. He said, very gruffly, while blowing smoke into my face. Oh, what a calm down! Where are the flowers?
Oh my my God, Care
Where are
Bears!
the Care Bears? Where are they?
Rainbows, the music playing, cupcakes potentially.
Oh, we've got a cigarette smoke.
Oh, no, in a blocky grey building.
He pointed to the reception area, informs us that there is no elevator. Baby clinic.
I might have to open a window, Kate. Hang on.
Go and open your window, Jenny.
I'm so hot. This is making me laugh so much. Okay, go.
You need Joy's cool water
Oh,
bottle.
I do. I really do.
Cool water bottle like Joy. And Baby Clinic is on the second floor. Park your buggy there. He gestures to a corner where other buggies are placed. My mother and I exchange a glance and we go in. My daughter is sound asleep, so I gently try to extract her from the pram to carry her up the stairs.
Do you remember those days, Kate?
Too clearly. Too clearly.
When they've gone to sleep and you're just trying to desperately keep them that way. Okay.
There's no elevators though. Couldn't push the buggy into the lift. Got to take the baby out. At this moment, we notice, oh my goodness, a man wearing a very... I think you might need Joy's cool water bottle. Get ready.
I'm so excited.
Well, it sounds pretty exciting. We notice a man wearing a very short and flimsy robe. Where are we going, Eileen? Where are we going with this?
Where has she turned up? This grey blocky building. Is she definitely in the right place? Oh my God. What's a man doing in a short robe at a baby clinic?
I can't possibly imagine.
She's not got to baby clinic yet though, has she? So
would you like to make a guess at what this man's doing, Jenny?
Well, porn? I don't know. Let's find out. Come on. I really do wish I had a cup of tea now.
Wearing a very short and flimsy robe, is frantically pushing a button on the wall next to what appears to be a small dumbwaiter. Is it now a dumbwaiter? Is this like a little lift?
Yes,
isn't it?
Yeah, I always think of dumbwaiters as those ones that bring food down from a kitchen in a mansion. Am I right? You know, then it comes down and then delivers.
Well. The man is holding a towel and shampoo.
What's he got a towel?
He's holding a towel and some shampoo, and he's growing increasingly annoyed that nothing is happening. He bends over to bang on the door of the dumbwaiter, exposing far too much. What you have fallen for, is it, Eileen?
I can't cope. Sorry, I was just making a proper fan. We've got to remember as well, Kate, that her mum, who's just off the HRT, just got off a plane and is jet lagged, is now seeing this, where her daughter lives, where her grandchild is going to baby clinic. A man is now...
He's exposing himself to them. An utterly surreal experience.
Just the phrase exposing himself far too much.
So my mother and I grabbed the baby. Cover her eyes. And the diaper bag. I think Eileen's American. And the diaper bag and quickly head upstairs. I step carefully when I notice that the stairs are marble and slick from the moisture from people's shoes. Yeah.
Don't stop a minute.
Is this really safe to be carrying newborns up such slippery stairs?
The detail in this letter is priceless, isn't it?
It is wonderful. We pass another man.
What?
He is transfixed by tapping with a hammer on the banister winding up the stairwell. What is going on? There's no time to think about it. So we've got one man exposing himself by the dumbwaiter.
They're cool.
And we've got another man tapping with a hammer on the banister. What is going on? Well, that's what Eileen wonders, is what is going on? No time to think about it. We get to the second floor and enter a large, dark, crowded room.
Oh, no.
Oh, it's not. It's not what you.
Is this baby
expected,
clinic?
Eileen.
This is it. This is it. The big
I hope
reveal.
not, but I've got a
the big
feeling it is.
reveal.
Crowded room filled with plastic chairs,
Oh, yeah.
large stained mats,
No.
and weary midwives. This
Oh,
must be baby clinic.
Oh no, shattered dreams.
We're given a number and told to wait to be called.
Oh, that's even worse, just to be given a number.
My mother is completely out of breath from the exertion of getting here. She turns to me and she says she feels an almighty hot flush coming on. Her hair is soaked. I can see sweat cascading down her face.
Cascading!
That's a great word.
Eileen, oh my God, I love Eileen.
I rifle through the diaper bag looking for a muslin square to give her. Well, that's handy. That's good. You need a muslin square. At that moment, the room has taken on a somber atmosphere because a social worker has arrived with a number of babies, one of which all of the midwives are crowding around to discern if the baby is ill. My goodness.
Oh no. Oh God, it's taken a dark turn.
It's taken a dark turn. I place my daughter on the mat in front of me and she lies there, unusually still, stares at the ceiling. she's picked up on the vibe.
Even her daughter gets it. Yeah.
Even the newborn baby.
This surely isn't baby clinic.
Right.
Why am I in a blocky grey building, dark, with plastic chairs?
Where's the mat that I'm lying on got stains
Where are
on
the
it?
Care Bears?
Oh, the sweet smelling flowers. My mother is drenched. So I hand her the muslin, which she opens up. She places her whole face into the cloth and she shakes her head back and forth, trying to soak up the sweat.
I've got such a visual image of that.
Just then a young man. There's so many characters in this. It's just wonderful. Cue the young man. Just then a young man holding a tiny baby asks me if the seat next to us is taken. He looks startled like a deer in the headlights, and he looks back and forth from my mother with her head in her hands to the strangely quiet baby at my feet. Oh my God. I am so sorry, he says. He quickly turns away and sits somewhere else.
Can you see?
I nudge my mother and I tell her it looks as if she is crying over the baby.
Oh no, like something's awful's happened to the baby.
to Eileen's baby.
Oh no. Oh no. The fact that the guy said, "I'm so sorry," and walks sat somewhere else.
What a tale. Wow. My mother is mortified and embarrassed. We are eventually seen by the midwives. The baby is weighed, not underweight, despite my agonising. We discuss size and colour of baby poo, and I get a lecture on boiling fennel bulbs to increase milk production. Unfortunately, no tea or quiet contemplation. And by the time we leave, the room is buzzing with screaming babies and toddlers, and the nappy pail has been upended. That too! No! That was all that was missing.
Oh, Eileen, what a nightmare.
Total nightmare. Oh, look, I hope she has a nice cup of tea when she gets home.
Oh, she deserves it.
Looking around reception and stuffing my daughter back into her pram. Just stuffed her back in. Quick. My mother and I discern that baby clinic is actually a room in it's actually a room in a facility that houses adult men with learning difficulties.
Oh no. Oh, Kate, that explains so much. I feel bad for laughing earlier on now.
Oh.
We didn't know that at the time.
There is no sign of the man in the flimsy robe. Hopefully he found his shower. By the time we enter the apartment, both my mother and I are drenched in sweat. My blouse is totally wet. I clearly did forget the breast pads. The baby is crying for a feed. All three of us are miserable with fatigue, hunger, and riding the hormonal roller coaster. Mother, daughter, and granddaughter all weep.
There's something about the word weep as well, isn't there? That really sums up a mood.
As my mother and I take turns holding the baby while circling the dining table. Circling the dining table. It is then that my mother thrusts her fist into the air and she hollers, "I am going back on that fucking HRT."
story.
We need more.
We need more. That's my standout favourite letter so far. I'm going back on that.
You've made our day.
HRT.
She punched her fist in the air.
I've got such a vision of her doing that. Have you? I've dressed her up in my head in some sort of superhero costume, like a menopause cape, and she's punching the air, going. It's got HRT spread across the chest, punched in the air. I'm going back on the fucking HRT. Yes.
They were circling around the table, weeping.
All three of them in utter despair.
Where do we go from there?
I don't know whether we can go very far from there. Right, Kate. So that's the end of our second podcast. So we've done quite well there, haven't we? Now, obviously, at the end of each podcast, we are going to be awarding a badge, and I don't think it needs any discussion whatsoever. Eileen has, in fact, got the whole bag of badges.
It wasn't really fair, really, to the other writers today.
No, it wasn't.
My
It
goodness.
wasn't. I mean, yeah, who knew? Who knew we were
Not-
going to be getting something like a little gem like that?
A big gem like that.
I really hope Eileen's got more and more and more things like that. And also, surely Eileen's mum's got some stories.
Eileen, we hope you're listening.
We'll be getting that badge to you straight away. Thanks so much for listening.
Thank you.
And
Bye.
See you next week. Bye.
That was Dear Hormones with Jenny Smith and Kate Bouse. If you've got a story to share, email the girls at dearhormones@yahoo.com or they're @dearhormones on Instagram. Until next time.